Hello, everybody. This is Miss Tabor, and I am here today to talk to you about CSGs. Your first question might possibly be, what exactly is a CSG? Basically, CSG stands for Collaborative Support Group. And just like the name says, this is a group that you will be working with during STAE. Y'all will be collaborating together, working together to support each other to help advance your learning. And like it says there, the goal is to focus places where you need some help, and where you might need some support to make deeper connections and to gain better understanding of what is going on in class. The reason that we do these collaborative support groups, they have a lot of benefit for you all. Firstly, they help with procrastination. Um, So instead of waiting till the night before or the morning of a test and looking at the material and realizing there's something that you just don't understand, you actually will look at your notes and class materials beforehand, figure out those areas where you might be struggling so you can get some help with them before the last minute. They also help you to gain information and understand things more efficiently. It is a proven fact that we learn better when we work with other people. And so the ability to learn things quicker by working in these groups is very helpful. Also, it can help minimize test anxiety because you already know the information, you're confident, you've just talked with other people, you've gained a better understanding. And so when it comes to time to take the test, you're not as stressed out about it because you've been working with other people to help understand things. Also, helps you develop new study skills. The people in your group might have different ways of learning material. They might have helpful hints, tips, tricks that they use that can also be helpful for you, so you can learn some new ways to study. It's always also good to get a different perspective on things. People in your group will probably have different perceptions than you, different ideas, different thoughts, and you really can learn a lot from discussing with someone who doesn't quite see things the way that you do. Another benefit of working with a CSG group is it's good to have company. Instead of being isolated and trying to study all by yourself, being able to learn with others can be very helpful, and get to know some new people, learn a bit about them, and just enjoy working together. And lastly, it will enhance your personal and professional skills. I guarantee when you get out there and get a job, there will be times when you'll have to work with people, maybe solve a problem or come up with a new idea or come up with a different way of doing things. And if you have experience in having conversation with people and knowing how to share your opinions and ideas, it can definitely help you in other places in your life. I will tell you right now, I would not have passed organic chemistry in college if it weren't for sorry for the little distraction there. If it weren't for my study group, I would not have passed organic chemistry at all. I was headed straight for failure. But we worked together, we studied, we discussed what was going on. I got help with things I didn't understand and was able to get an A in the class. But it's only because I worked well with my group. So I guarantee if you do it right and you really work hard at it, these groups will be very beneficial to you. They will definitely help throughout your school career and your work career. So, what exactly are we looking for from you with these CSGs? Starting next week, before you come to STAE class on Wednesday, you will need to read through your notes, go through all your academic classes, look at handouts, look at materials, and find some areas where you might need some help, where you might not understand 100% what's going on, or where you might feel like you're a little weak in the steps and how to do something, or even an area where you might just want to learn a little more or delve a little deeper or find out somebody else's opinion or someone else's thoughts on things, right? Um, they can be in the same class, they can be different classes, but just work through and find some places where you might need some help, and then come up with 2 questions that you would like to have answered by your group, that you would like to get their ideas about how to do something or what's going on with certain things, and then bring those questions to class. So before class on Wednesday, which is the day that we're going to do CSGs, you need to have come up with these 2 questions and be ready to discuss them. Talk for a minute more about the questions, what we're looking for. So your questions need to be higher level thinking questions, what we sometimes call level 3 or 4 questions. So we're applying knowledge that we already have to a different situation or analyzing something. These are not just simple questions about facts with maybe a one-word answer. They're not 2 plus 3 equals 5 sort of questions. They go a little deeper into the material. They go a little deeper and into the ideas that we're trying to get across. So here's some examples of some questions that will be good questions. These are definitely not an exhaustive list, but some good ideas. So the first one, what approach would you use? Maybe what approach would you use to factor a polynomial? Not everybody goes about that the same way. Someone else might have a different idea what to look for, some tricks, some helpful hints. They might go through a different process that makes more sense to you. And so if you don't quite understand how to do that factoring, ask that question. Someone in the group might have a different, better way to do that. Or how would you analyze a poem, maybe? So someone might have a process that they go through when they're analyzing a poem, or you guys can talk it through together. Well, I do this. What do we think about this? Maybe come up with a new way to do that. Or another good idea, what's the relationship between 2 things? Maybe what's the relationship between photosynthesis and cellular respiration? And you can talk about that. How do they work together? So what ideas justify, I don't know, maybe what ideas justify the First Amendment, right? So what ideas were they thinking about when they came up with that First Amendment? Why is it important? Or discuss the pros and cons of something. Maybe discuss the pros and cons of voter ID cards or coronavirus vaccines, right? COVID vaccines. I don't know, anything, something that's going on in class. But these are good ways to start some questions where you actually have to think and dig a little bit deeper. I also want to give you a couple examples of questions that we're not looking for, questions we don't want you to use. Like I said before, those questions that just deal with facts or one-word answers. But like, when did the American Revolution take place? All right, well, that's just a date. There's nothing really to discuss there, so it's not a great question. Or list 3 types of evidence. Just you're listing some facts. There's no room for discussion. Maybe compare and contrast 2 authors, or who was George Washington, or who was a character in a novel, or something like that. Or listing just listing steps of something is not a good question to bring to your CSG group. We're looking for those more analytical thinking questions versus just these factual almost one word answer questions. So you're bringing your questions to class on Wednesday. During class, you're going to, in your group, take turns discussing the questions. So one person reads a question and you talk about it, and then the next person reads one of their questions and you talk about it, and going around discussing the answers to the different questions. While you're doing that, you're going to be taking some notes, writing some things down, summarizing some of the answers. And then at the end of class, take a few minutes to write a reflection about what you discussed in your group. Have an example of the way your paper should be set up. So this is just your paper, piece of notebook paper. We're not going to be handing you anything. But you obviously have your name at the top. You've written down your 2 questions. So this part happens before you come to class, right? So you've got your 2 questions written down. And then during class, as you're doing your discussion, you write down people's questions and summarize the answer that you came up with. So question, answer in a little chart-like form. And then at the end of class, a reflection. And here's some sentence starters for that reflection. I'll make sure that all the teachers have these. But today I learned, what did you learn? I am proud of, what are you proud of for this session? What's something you need to work on for this session? And then kind of summarize as a group what you did. So that is what you will be turning in at the end of the time together. Remember, the questions need to come with you to class, and then the discussion that comes after that. So these are CSGs, a little bit about what they're about and what you will be doing, and I hope this was helpful.